Have you ever stopped to think why Jerusalem appears so often in end times prophecies? Why does a city that has existed for millennia continue to inspire so much attention, hope, and at the same time, fear in so many people around the world? What you're about to discover now may surprise you, because Jerusalem isn't just a geographic point on a map. It's a living symbol of spiritual, historical, and even prophetic events that are yet to unfold in a shocking way. Stay with me until the end, because I'll show you how the year 5786, according to the Hebrew calendar, could bring crucial signs that will indicate profound changes, not only for the Jewish people, but for all humanity. Imagine for a moment the ancient streets of Jerusalem, the temple, the gates and walls that have witnessed centuries of history. Every stone carries memories, stories of faith, struggles, and spiritual revelations. And it is precisely in this setting that many end times prophecies point to decisive events. Some of these prophecies were recorded thousands of years ago, but somehow they seem to speak directly to the events we see today, raising inevitable questions. Are we experiencing signs that were already foreseen? What does this mean for us now? Have you ever experienced this, that feeling that ancient history is somehow connecting with the present day? The year 5786, within Hebrew tradition, is not just another number on a different calendar. It carries profound symbolic and spiritual meanings that often go unnoticed by outsiders. Each year in the Jewish calendar represents cycles of events, decisions, and transformations that shape not only the life of a nation, but of the entire world. And what makes 5786 especially relevant is that it appears as a turning point, a moment when some prophecies involving Jerusalem may begin to be fulfilled in ways we are still beginning to perceive. Stay with me, because throughout this video, I will reveal little discussed details, surprising connections, and signs that may change the way you understand the times we live in. Have you ever wondered why Jerusalem evokes so much emotion in people? Some feel hope, others fear, but all share a fascination that spans centuries. It's a city that remains alive in history, faith, and prophecy, as if it carries the destiny of many on its sacred soil. And it is precisely this historical and spiritual weight that makes the study of biblical prophecy so fascinating and so urgent. Scripture mentions Jerusalem repeatedly, not just as a physical place, but as a symbol of events that will mark the end of time in ways we are still trying to fully understand. And most intriguingly, some of these signs may already be unfolding before our eyes. Throughout this video, you'll see how past, present, and future intertwine in surprising ways in Jerusalem, especially when we look to the year 5786. We'll explore not only what's written in the prophecies, but also how to interpret these signs, practically connecting them to the current world and your own life. What you'll discover now isn't just information. It's an invitation to reflect on the events that shape our reality, how an ancient city continues to influence destinies, and how every detail of the Hebrew calendar can reveal clues most people never imagine. And it is precisely this combination of history, spirituality, and prophetic signs that makes Jerusalem and the year 5786 such a fascinating and, at the same time, relevant topic for those who follow end times prophecies. But what comes next is even more intriguing. We will delve into details you explore, revealing connections and secrets that can change your perception of current events and the future that awaits us. And as we reflect on all this, it's impossible not to feel somehow connected to Jerusalem and the signs that the year 5786 seems to herald. And here comes something very important: your voice. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what touched you most, or even how you perceive these signs in your own life. It could be a personal experience, a question, a reflection. All of this helps create a true community around this topic, where every opinion counts and every story enriches everyone's understanding. At the same time, if you're following along and feel this content is relevant, please like the video. It's a simple yet powerful way to show that this type of message needs to reach even more people, spreading knowledge about biblical prophecy and sparking curiosity about the times we live in. And subscribing to the channel goes beyond simply following the content. It's a way to ensure you don't miss any of the upcoming discoveries, analyses, and connections we'll explore about Jerusalem, prophecy, and the year 5786. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content, and this generates a real impact, not only for us who produce it, but for everyone seeking to better understand the signs of the end times. And speaking of which, as we continue, you'll realize that every detail of Jerusalem, every prophetic reference, and every connection to 5786 has a meaning that goes far beyond what we imagine. It's as if every stone in the city, every biblical passage, and every historical moment invites us to observe, reflect, and prepare for what's to come. Stay with me, because the next part will delve even deeper into this fascinating scenario, connecting past, present, and future in ways that will challenge your perception and awaken a new understanding of Jerusalem's central role in end times prophecy. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, delving into the essence of Jerusalem and understanding why it is so central to end times prophecies. For anyone who follows human history, it's impossible to ignore that Jerusalem is not just an ordinary city. It bears centuries of decisions, transformations, and journeys that shape the destiny of entire peoples. Think of the diverse civilizations that passed through there: Egyptians, Babylonians, Romans, Persians, each leaving its mark, each fulfilling, in some way, fragments of a larger narrative that spans generations. But what makes Jerusalem truly unique is not just what happened, but what it represents spiritually. It is a living symbol of encounters between the divine and the human, of alliances made and broken, of promises and trials that have challenged the faith of millions throughout history. For the Jewish people, Jerusalem is the spiritual heart, the place where the temple stood, the house of God on earth. It is the city that houses the memories of kings and prophets, and where the religious and cultural life of ancient Israel was concentrated. The Hebrew scriptures mention it repeatedly as a center of power, faith, and divine guidance. Psalms, Isaiah, and Jeremiah portray Jerusalem as a place of hope, but also of warning, a meeting point between the earthly and the heavenly. And for Christians, the city also carries symbolic and spiritual weight. It is where Jesus walked, taught, and prophesied, becoming the stage for events that became benchmarks of faith and spiritual transformation. Every corner of Jerusalem, every stone, seems to carry with it the echo of decisions that shaped eras, reminding us that often the most profound changes begin in places that seem small, but have a disproportionate impact on history and people's mindsets. What few realizes that Jerusalem, over the centuries, has functioned almost as a catalyst for global events. It's not just a matter of geopolitics or territorial power, but of spiritual and symbolic significance. Prophets and Bible scholars often emphasize that events involving Jerusalem serve as signs, a kind of code that connects past, present, and future, revealing patterns few dare to see. For example, the book of Ezekiel offers detailed visions of the restoration of Jerusalem, linking historical events to the expectation of spiritual transformation for all humanity. And in Zechariah, we see descriptions that, interpreted in light of modern times, indicate crucial decisions that reverberate not only in the city, but throughout the world. It's as if Jerusalem were an epicenter, not just physical, but energetic and spiritual, capable of influencing destinies and mindsets across generations. Furthermore, the city holds a hidden truth for many who observe only superficial facts. Jerusalem is the stage for repeating cycles, for promises slowly fulfilled, and for decisions that shape the course of history. Each conquest, each destruction, each reconstruction is more than a military or political event. It is a revelation of how human choices, faith, and divine purpose intertwine in a mosaic of profound meaning. This is why scholars of biblical prophecy insist on observing the city closely, analyzing not only the immediate events, but also the subtle signs that point to greater transformations. This combination of concrete history and spiritual symbolism makes Jerusalem a unique place, capable of arousing fascination, questions, and often a sense that we are witnessing something greater than ourselves. And when we consider this historical and spiritual context, we begin to realize that Jerusalem is much more than a tourist destination or an ancient city. It is a true convergence point of human and divine experiences, a city that bears in its stones the impact of decisions and journeys that continue to resonate today. Each step we take in studying its history is, in a way, an opportunity to better understand the behind-the-scenes of prophecy, the cycles of transformation, and the invisible connections that shape our world. That is why, when we look to Jerusalem, we're looking not only to the past, but to the symbolic force that influences our mindset, our choices, and even our understanding of the future. And if you feel this connection, after hearing all this, you can visualize the importance of Jerusalem and the weight of its history and spirituality, comment, "I'm on this journey too," your words help bring even more energy to this conversation and strengthen the connection between all who seek to understand these revelations. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, delving into the significance of the year 5786 and how it connects to Jerusalem and the events surrounding the end times. To understand the significance of this year, we must first look at the Hebrew calendar not simply as a count of days or months, but as a veritable symbolic map of spiritual and historical events. Each year in this calendar possesses its own energy, charged with meaning, reflecting cycles that intertwine human decisions, spiritual movements, and collective transformations that often go unnoticed by those who only observe superficially. The Hebrew calendar functions as a continuous record of events, where each period carries subtle signs, hidden messages, and indicators that, when interpreted, reveal surprising patterns about the course of the world. The year 5786, specifically, stands out as a milestone that can bring significant changes to multiple spheres of human life. It's a time that carries with it the possibility of crucial decisions, profound transformations, and adjustments that go beyond geopolitics or daily routines. We're talking about a moment in which people's mindsets, the way societies organize, themselves, and even the impact of individual choices can be influenced by forces that connect past, present, and future. It's fascinating to see how historical events in Jerusalem and other regions intertwine with the symbolism of this year, creating a narrative of evolution, alertness, and revelations that few dare explore. What you'll discover now will shake not only your understanding of dates or calendars, but your perception of how spiritual cycles and real events can reflect one another, offering signs that, for those who observe closely, have already begun to manifest. When we look at 5786, we realize that it is not just an isolated number in the Jewish calendar. It represents an opportunity for collective transformation. It is as if each event that unfolds during this period has multiple layers of meaning, a hidden truth that connects human decisions to broader plans, demonstrating that nothing happens by chance. Some biblical prophecy scholars point out that certain patterns that repeat themselves throughout history are indicators of decisive moments, and 5786 fits precisely this type of pattern. Small signs have already begun to emerge: political movements, social decisions, spiritual shifts, and changes in collective perception that, if observed closely, seem to confirm that we are entering a period of global significance, where every action, every choice, can have consequences that go far beyond what we imagine. The most interesting thing is that, although many of these manifestations are still subtle, they have a powerful impact on people's mindsets. It's as if we're facing an invisible backstage of history, where spiritual and human forces intertwine to shape paths, open doors, and reveal truths that remain hidden to most. Every decision made now, every reflection on faith, justice, and personal or collective transformation connects almost imperceptibly to these cycles, showing that 5786 is more than a year. It's a point of convergence, a moment that challenges our perception of time, history, and the greater purpose of seemingly isolated events. And it's precisely this connection between the calendar, Jerusalem, and the signs of the world that makes this period so intriguing and full of meaning, revealing nuances that previously seemed invisible or inaccessible. As we reflect on all this, we begin to realize that the year 5786 is not just a symbolic countdown of time, but an invitation to awareness, observation, and interpretation of signs. It challenges us to look beyond the obvious, to understand the impact of human choices, to see cycles of transformation, and to perceive how spirituality, history, and present-day decisions intertwine in profound and surprising ways. It's a unique opportunity to align our understanding of past, present, and future, recognizing patterns that help us decipher the reality around us. And if you're already feeling this connection and notice the signs emerging, comment below. This makes sense to me. Your words help strengthen this exchange and build a clearer vision of what 5786 truly represents. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, exploring Jerusalem's role in end times prophecies and how the city becomes the epicenter of events that can impact not only history, but also humanity's very mentality and spirituality. Jerusalem will be the convergence point for signs and events that, over the centuries, have been predicted by prophets and scholars of Scripture. Every stone, every street, and every monument carries a symbolism that transcends time, functioning almost as a silent testimony to decisions, cycles, and transformations that have shaped and will continue to shape eras. It's fascinating to think that, amidst conflicts, reconstructions, and periods of silence, the city remains a living marker of the intertwining of the human and the divine, reminding us that seemingly isolated events carry layers of meaning far deeper than we perceive at first glance. What happens to Jerusalem symbolizes not only the continuity of a people, but also the unfolding of spiritual forces that influence choices, governments, and the course of world history. Key prophecies such as those found in Zechariah, Isaiah, and Revelation indicate that the city will be the target of intense attention, scenes of conflict, restoration, and spiritual revelation. Zechariah, for example, describes Jerusalem as a point of defense and holiness, a city that attracts attention and decisions that will have global impact. Each step within this narrative is more than a political or military move. It is a coded message, a form of communication between the human and the divine planes, showing that decisions made regarding Jerusalem reflect the spiritual experience of millions. And when we read Revelation, the city emerges again as a central symbol not only of judgment, but also of hope and transformation, demonstrating that Jerusalem's future is intrinsically linked to the future of humanity. Beyond biblical passages, prophecy scholars consistently emphasize that Jerusalem serves as an indicator of broader changes. Ancient cities often serve as catalysts for global events, and Jerusalem stands out precisely because of its symbolic and spiritual weight. When significant events occur there, whether political or religious, they resonate across diverse layers of human reality culture, faith, perceptions of justice, and collective mentality. This connection shows that signs of the end times are not merely abstract predictions. They manifest themselves in concrete and practical ways, affecting decisions, behaviors, and even the way we understand transformation and purpose in the world. And it is at this point that prophecy comes alive. Jerusalem is not just a dot on the map, but a lens through which we can interpret cycles of transformation, alertness, and spiritual revelation. Jerusalem will be tested, beset by challenges, but it will also be restored, functioning as a mirror of humanity's journey toward understanding, balance, and connection with the divine. Each prophecy indicates that the city will witness moments of tension and hope, moments in which decisions made will have direct repercussions on a global scale. And the impact is not limited to the spiritual sphere. It is reflected in human relationships, political alliances, conflicts, and even cultural shifts that shape the way we live and perceive the world. The city thus becomes a kind of epicenter where past, present, and future intertwine, showing that every detail of history is, in fact, a fragment of a larger design full of meaning and revelations that we are still beginning to comprehend. What's most impressive is how these prophecies manage to combine the concrete with the symbolic, the visible with the hidden, creating a scenario where everything that happens in Jerusalem reverberates across multiple layers of understanding and consciousness. The city will be observed, analyzed, and at the same time will fulfill its role as a spiritual beacon, reminding humanity that our actions, choices, and mindsets are always connected to larger cycles of transformation and learning. And as we perceive this dynamic, we begin to understand that Jerusalem is not just a geographic or historical place. It is a living symbol of decisions, revelations, and spiritual impact that span generations. Each prophecy, each verse, each interpretation offers us a key to deciphering the complexity of time and history, revealing that even the most subtle events carry a powerful message, shaping journeys, choices, and mindsets in ways that often escape immediate perception. And if you can already sense the importance of Jerusalem's role and the weight of these prophecies, comment, "I'm on this journey too." Your words help reinforce this connection, demonstrating that there are people who are attentive to these revelations and who share the same interest in understanding the profound impact the city has on the world. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, highlighting current signs that, surprisingly, connect directly with Jerusalem and the year 5786. It's striking to see how recent events, political, social, and even cultural, are beginning to align with patterns predicted centuries ago. When we look at the global landscape, we realize that decisions made in distant capitals, unexpected movements in international arenas, and even subtle shifts in collective mindset have an almost symbolic impact on Jerusalem. It's as if the past, present, and future intertwine in a single timeline, where each event is a fragment of a larger story, a code that needs to be deciphered with attention, observation, and sensitivity to details that many overlook. Experts in biblical prophecy and historical studies point out that certain events in the Middle East are not merely coincidental. They carry signs that reinforce Jerusalem's centrality as a spiritual and political epicenter. And we're not just talking about ancient texts or subjective interpretations. Researchers like Michael Heiser and scholars of modern biblical exegesis emphasize that there is a clear correlation between contemporary events and prophecies that have been studied for decades, some even millennia. Analysis of these events reveals patterns of transformation, critical decisions, and revelations that, while subtle to many, are extremely significant to those who observe closely. It's fascinating to realize that the same city that witnessed kings, prophets, and empires is also witnessing signs that may indicate the fulfillment of predicted end times. Among these signs, we can observe geopolitical tensions that seem to revolve around strategic decisions involving Jerusalem. Diplomatic moves, shifting alliances, and events that capture global media attention reflect not only political issues, but also choices that directly impact the spiritual and historical perception of the city. What is happening today is, in many ways, a reflection of the past. Cycles of conflict, reconstruction, and revelation repeat themselves, demonstrating that the city remains a reference point for global transformations. Every act of reconstruction, every decision by world leaders, and every popular reaction resonates with layers of meaning that go far beyond what is visible on the surface, revealing a complexity that few dare to fully explore. Furthermore, by observing closely, we notice changes in the collective mindset regarding Jerusalem and the events surrounding it. There is a growing awareness of the city's historical and spiritual importance, a realization that human decisions have repercussions that extend far beyond the immediate. It is as if society itself is beginning to tune into the signs already indicated by prophecy, reacting to events that, at first glance, may seem isolated, but which are actually part of a larger pattern, connecting past, present, and future in an almost invisible way. Every news item, every cultural or social movement, however distant, is a piece of this puzzle that shows us that the signs of the end times are, in fact, beginning to manifest themselves in a tangible way. And when we think about the year 5786, these current signs take on even more relevance. They remind us that we are at a moment of critical decision making where every human action and every shift in perspective can have a direct impact on how events will unfold. It is an opportunity to observe, reflect, and understand the interconnection between ancient history, contemporary events, and the developments yet to come. The city of Jerusalem stands as a beacon, a reference point that allows us to interpret patterns of transformation, cycles of testing, and revelations that continue to unfold before our eyes. And it is at this point that we begin to see the true magnitude of what is happening. Every detail of the present is a reflection of the wisdom, warnings, and predictions contained in ancient prophecies, showing that signs are not only in the past, but also in what is happening today, shaping the future in silent yet impactful ways. By observing all this, we can see that Jerusalem remains a central piece not only in history, but also in the spiritual journey and mindset of all humanity. The city becomes an indicator of transformation, a reference point that challenges us to understand the impact of human decisions, the behind-the-scenes nature of history, and the relevance of individual and collective choices. It's as if we were witnessing a living narrative where time, cycles, and signs intertwine, offering clues about the direction humanity is taking and the fundamental role Jerusalem plays in this process. And if you can feel this connection, comment. That makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, connecting all the elements we've explored so far and reflecting on the real impact that Jerusalem and the year 5786 have on the world and on each of us. When we look at the city, we see much more than streets, ancient buildings, or historical monuments. We see an epicenter of transformation, a point where past, present, and future meet in an almost tangible way. Jerusalem carries within itself the memory of centuries of human decisions and divine designs, a place that witnessed kings, prophets, empires, and ordinary people who, in some way, left their mark on its history and spirituality. It's as if every stone and every wall tells a story of faith, hope, challenges, and revelations, reminding us that human history is always intertwined with something greater, with cycles that transcend time and reflect the journey of all humanity. The significance of the year 5786 becomes even more relevant in this context. It's not just a number in the Hebrew calendar. It's a symbol of decisive moments, a period in which choices, transformations, and decisions can have profound and lasting impacts. Every event that occurs today, political, social, or spiritual, can be seen as a piece of this larger puzzle, a reflection of prophetic patterns that repeat themselves over time. It's fascinating to see how subtle signs have already begun to manifest, whether in cultural shifts, international tensions, or the way collective mindsets shift in the face of events that, at first glance, might seem isolated, but are actually connected to ancient cycles of revelation and warning. This interconnection between past, present, and future allows us to better understand the impact and relevance of what's happening around Jerusalem, reinforcing the idea that the city is not just a physical place, but a living symbol of decisions, transformations, and spiritual journeys. When we reflect on the prophecies that mention Jerusalem, we realize that they are not merely warnings or historical narratives. They are maps that help us interpret the signs of the world, showing how seemingly isolated events have a deeper meaning. Jerusalem will be watched, fought for, protected, and restored, and each action toward the city symbolizes something greater, a warning about human choices, an opportunity for spiritual transformation, a demonstration of the impact that faith, history, and collective thinking can have on global cycles. It is as if the city were a reflection of humanity itself, carrying within itself both the capacity for destruction and reconstruction, reminding us that decisions and actions have consequences that go far beyond the immediate, reaching dimensions that can only be understood when we look behind the scenes of history and prophecy with attention and sensitivity. The spiritual impact of these prophecies is also profound. They challenge us to reflect on our own faith, on how we perceive the world, and how our individual choices connect with larger events. Jerusalem, in this sense, functions as a mirror, Observing the city and understanding its role in the prophecies forces us to look within ourselves, question our own journey, and perceive how we can align our mindset and decisions with higher principles, with patterns of transformation that repeat themselves through time. Each event, each sign, each historical or spiritual reference offers us an opportunity for introspection, revealing hidden truths that, when interpreted, can influence how we live and interact with the world around us. By uniting Jerusalem's ancient history, the significance of the year 5786, and the signs already manifesting in the present, we begin to see a larger narrative, a continuous line of learning, warning, and revelation. This perception is not merely intellectual. It is emotional, spiritual, and practical, connecting us to the reality that every choice, every decision, and every reflection has an impact not only on ourselves, but on the collective and the course of history. The prophecies show us that the city is central to understanding the times, serving as a beacon that illuminates cycles of transformation, journeys of faith, and opportunities for spiritual and collective growth. And given all this, it's impossible not to ask yourself, how do these prophecies impact your faith, your mindset, and the world around you? What is your personal connection to Jerusalem and the signs that are beginning to manifest? Thinking about this invites us to deep reflection, a moment of introspection about our own journey, our decisions, and how we align ourselves with the cycles of transformation that time presents us. Comment below, I'm on this journey too, if you feel this reflection resonates with you and want to share this feeling with those who are also attentive to these revelations and the real impact that Jerusalem and 5786 have on the world. If you've made it this far, leave a comment saying, I'm with you until the end. I want to know who truly delved into this journey with me, experiencing every detail about Jerusalem and the year 5786. And if you noticed something that resonated with you during the video, give it a like. It's a way of showing that this connection we've created here resonated with you. Your participation helps keep these conversations alive and brings even more value to all who seek to understand these prophecies. There's a video here that complements this topic. Click and stay with me there, because there are more revelations and insights that will deepen this understanding even further.